Darren Levine here, and in this video we're going to go over equipment balance. What I want to instill in you if you're going out to buy your first or maybe second camera is that the camera is only one part of the equation. As you can see by all the junk around me right now, you could spend all your money just on the camera, but it might leave you short-handed in terms of what you can do with that camera. So whether you're buying a DSLR for video or an actual video body camera, we're just going to go over what's out there and what you should keep in mind and what you should keep a budget for other than the camera itself. So let's say you were going to go buy a DSLR. Well, you could buy it with a kit lens, but the kit lens, well, they're just not that good a quality. They will get you somewhere, but they won't get you everywhere. So yeah, you could spend thousands upon thousands of dollars on lenses, but no, you don't have to. If you're just buying yourself a couple $100 DSLR, you can get away with less expensive lenses. But what I always say, buy based on reviews. But what you should get with lenses is you want to have all your bases covered. Whether you need something that's very wide like this lens, which is on I think 15 millimeters right now on a crop body Canon C100, or maybe you need something a little bit longer for wildlife. So that's one thing with DSLRs to keep in mind. Now, if you're buying a fixed lens, regular video camera, then the lens is already built in. Not much you can do, being that 35 millimeter adapters are kind of going out of style. So next thing up is the most basic thing I consider with any camera, which is cleaning supplies. Some people think that this is really all you need, which I'll admit I had this as my only cleaning supply when I first started out. But that's until I found out about two other essentials, the blower and the lens pen. $10, $6. Not a big investment, but you do need to have them. They are just basic cleaning supplies for both your lens and your sensor, because even if your DSLR says that it's got a sensor cleaning automatic in it, doesn't mean it's always going to work. So buy these. I should also mention I'm not going to go into the details of how to use all this stuff. You can look at my other videos to find all those different details. Right now I'm just going to give you a primer as to what is out there. So let's also move now over to audio. Now you can get away with onboard audio, but no, you can't. It's onboard audio. It's a second, it's an afterthought to making the camera. So what do you need in terms of onboard audio? Well, you could get yourself a shotgun microphone, which is great for narrative stuff. They're great because they block out other extraneous sounds. You point them at something and it captures mostly just that. You can get smaller ones that go on the camera for on-camera stuff. You can get bigger ones that are meant to go onto a boom pole, such as this. Now, say you're doing more interview style stuff, you might want more of these style mics or a performance mic. And you also might want to invest not just in the foam that usually comes with the microphones, because those will only block out so much wind. You want to get yourself a little dead rabbit, or even a full-size Zeppelin blimp, so that the wind won't give you crappy audio. Another thing is lavalier microphones, which are really probably one of the most versatile mics in my opinion, because it's just, you can hide them under clothing for narrative stuff. You can just clip them on for documentary stuff. And they can come in either just direct plug into the camera style or wireless style. I think these Sennheiser sets are probably the most used accessory on the planet. These have gotten more use than any of my other accessories because a wireless mic is just infinitely useful. Now, the one thing about audio is that, say you're just going out to be the camera person and you're gonna be hiring an audio person or bringing a friend on to do audio, well, hopefully they have their own equipment and it's very top notch. So you might not need a boom pole and a shotgun mic, but maybe you should just get a small onboard shotgun mic for your own personal onboard needs. So internal bad, external good. That's all you need to know for audio for the moment. Now let's move on to battery power, because sometimes the camera comes with a battery, usually it does, but if you just have one battery and it runs out, well, you're dead in the water. So always have tons of batteries for your camera and for any accessories. Have more than you need for the day, because just in case the day runs long or somehow you use more juice, always pack a lot of batteries. It's not like they take up a lot of space. Now we can move along to support equipment, which that's a lot of this stuff. So let's go to the smaller stuff, basic stuff like a flash grip. A $10 investment allows you to get steadier handheld shots. Great, minimal investment. But then you can step it up and get yourself a rail system such as this. Rails, basically they allow you to attach other accessories to the camera. Sits on there and they can attach stuff to the end, such as, this $16 sunshade, which helps keep your lens from flaring from harsh sunlight or any other sharp lights. Another matte box which has other different features on it. And then you can put a shoulder mount on, and then you can put handles onto the end. So you can actually have your camera sitting on your shoulder, and it'll make your camera steadier, and it'll give you the ability to shoot for longer with less body strain or arm strain, so you can shoot for longer. And actually this whole set with the shoulder and the grips and these are only $200 for this whole set. Not a huge investment, but yes, I know some of you consider $200 to be a significant investment because you're starting young, which is great. Now, other little things. Here's like a little, I think this was another $20 little item, which I also mentioned, grab one of these on eBay. These are like $2 or $3. And if you're using a photo tripod, which I'll get into shortly, you always want to have some sort of level so you know, if your camera's level. Great, really inexpensive accessory. And then stuff like this, it allows you to, instead of mounting, say, a light on the top of your camera or a mic, it allows you to mount it somewhere else. So it just relocates your mounting abilities. So another little investment. I'm all about, you know, the little investments that help out, because the bigger your camera bag is, so to speak, your greater camera bag, not your actual camera bag, but just the equipment you have available to you to stuff into your camera bag, the more situations you can cope with, the more situations you can deal with in a proper manner and get the best out of it. So that's it for these guys. Let's go on to tripods. Tripods can be very expensive. Like this one here is a $1,500 vintage tripod. I used to have this saying, which is to spend at least 10% of what you spent on your camera on a tripod. That kind of doesn't really apply much anymore because, well, you can get a $3,000 5D Mark II, or actually no, that's under $2,000 now. 5D Mark III is like $3,000. It doesn't need a full-size Vinton unless you're loading up with accessories. But the thing to know about tripods is just look at the weight rating. So if the weight rating is, say, 5 pounds and your camera weighs 5 pounds, not good enough. You don't know when you're gonna actually slap on some extra weight and stuff onto the camera. So when you're buying a tripod, get one that has roughly twice as much the weight capacity as your camera is bare bodied, because it'll give you room to grow. Now, I'll say that when I was just starting out, I used this guy, which is only $120, but I don't really use him anymore. But what was surprising is that he's got a pretty good fluid action. He even got a little built-in controller, which doesn't work for any of my cameras anymore. But it got me to get away with having a low cost, but still a decent quality tripod, which, you know what, for small cameras like this, I think this is like something like a 5 or 6 pound capacity. I don't know. Good enough for small cameras. But I know now that there's other tripods that I think are in the $130 range or $150 range. You actually get, you know, a leveling ball, and you get, I think, a 10 or so pound capacity. So a really good investment for a really low amount. I'll try and find some and link some to you that I'll try and pre-select that are, you know, decent enough for your whatever weight class you're going for. I mean, there's also, try and buy ones that are made of metal. Metal is good, plastic, not so good. Like this is the older 501 Manfrotto tripod head. They've replaced it since with a much more plasticky version. And you know what? I prefer the metal one. There's only a little bit of plastic on this, and that's probably why it's lasted me so many years and got me through so many situations. But for bigger stuff like this, I think is like an 8 pound capacity or 12 pound. This baby can handle up to 22 pounds. One thing I like to mention is don't go putting jibs on these tripod heads. They're not meant to handle that kind of weight. Jibs hold a lot more weight, or meant to throw around a lot more weight than these can handle. There's special high capacity heads just for jibs. But other details for you to look at it later. Then we've also got sliders. Like this is, I believe, one of the Igus ones. This was a prototype, but I don't have even the bearings for it. They're somewhere in a box. But sliders are great because you get that dolly kind of motion in a small package. One thing is, don't buy really crap ones, because even if it's going a nice straight line, it could be like and just not look professional. So same thing with jibs. You want to get one that has good bearings so that, you know, it's an actual fluid motion, not the motion that's kind of like start, stop. Buy quality stuff. As I say, look for reviews. I almost never buy blind, which is buying something without seeing anybody's review of it. For stuff like this, which was $15, I'll take a shot in the dark and see it and review it if it's good. Now let's go into lighting, because yeah, we've got that. Actually, well, almost forgot this little guy, which a lot of people do tend to forget these. tabletop tripods are mostly thought about just strictly for consumers and point and shoots, but you know what? I got a lot of use out of this little guy. You know, if you have a decent enough ball head on it, this one's half decent. It's enough for just, you know, a simple lens and a DSLR. Sometimes you need that really low angle and you need to be able to point the camera in some direction, say on the side, or you're getting like a straight up pointed angle. You don't want the camera to be sitting on the ground. Well, these tripods can't get nearly that low. And these things, yeah, you can get them for $10, $20, $30, and they are great. Another small but useful investment. Now, how about lights? Because nowadays we got these, like the Z96, which are great. I still prefer tungsten because tungsten is a better quality of light. LEDs, they're getting there in terms of quality, but the inexpensive ones, you know, they just don't have the same quality of light as tungsten. Look at the video lights demonstration / tutorial I made and you'll understand what I'm talking about for the quality. But if I'm shooting run and gun or really small stuff, this is great for on camera, or I can mount it onto this lighter weight tripod and I can have myself, you know, 2 or 3 light kit in a very small package. But what if you need something for one of these guys, which is kind of similar to a Kino Flow. It's just got a bunch of banks of these fluorescent units. This is my go-to for corporate stuff where I just got like people sitting in front of a white background. I'm gonna blow up the background and just have them be nice and soft. But I can't go throw that on this inexpensive tripod. I need a much bigger, bulkier, annoying tripod. And if you have bigger lights than that, you're gonna need something like a C-stand. And then there's the simplest of things, like a bottle of aspirin to have around so that if you have a headache, you can get through whatever you're doing. Because you know, especially clients, they don't like to hear excuses or complaints. And then I almost forgot about cables, which are really important. High quality ones too, because if they fail on you, well, you're dead in the water. So I hope that kind of overwhelms you a little bit, because the camera is only one part of the equation, and I don't want you to go spend your entire wallet just on the camera and then literally be sitting there wondering what else you can do with it because you don't have any support equipment. So keep that in mind. I got a lot of other videos you can watch that review a lot of this stuff and show you what's out there so you can have yourself a well-balanced bag of equipment. So keep that in mind, make some good images, focus on your story a lot because, you know, the equipment's only half of this equation, the story's the other half. And I would say it's actually the bigger half. So keep that in mind and keep on shooting, and that's it.